Hey everybody, welcome into the first in our series of 100 jazz standards that you should know. Now this is a pretty ambitious project I'm taking on. I'm pretty much committing myself to create 100 videos of what I think are must-know jazz standards. I don't really have a schedule for these videos. I'm going to kind of try to just fit them in where I can. So don't expect one like every single week. These will be coming out more periodically than that. But I think this is going to be a really important series. You know, as jazz musicians, we need to know a certain set of jazz standards that everybody plays, and that you're not really going to get any gigs or you're going to feel left out at jam sessions if you don't know these particular tunes. Now, I am providing chord sheets with analysis written on them. We're going to go through them together. And I'm actually writing an etude for every single episode. And I'm not really sure how I'm going to distribute those yet. I think I might put them together in etude and analysis books once I get 10 of these done. But I'm going to be deciding that soon. So I will let you know where you can get those analysis sheets and those etudes, and we'll kind of go from there. All right, for episode 1, we are going to talk about Autumn Leaves. Now, this might be a tune that you either love or hate, but we have to face the fact that this tune is still played a lot, especially at jam sessions, or if you're playing at a restaurant, you're playing standards. This is a tune that's going to come up a lot. And I think it's also really fitting to start with this tune because it contains certain chord progressions that are going to carry into a bunch of our other tunes that we're going to talk about on this series. So while you may not like this tune very much, I think it's important that we go over it because it contains a lot of really important relationships. It's based on a major key and it's relative minor, and that's something that you're going to find a heck of a lot in hundreds, maybe even thousands of jazz standards. Now, one thing that you're going to notice in these videos is that a lot of times, like, specific chords are fought over. Different people play them in different ways. But since you're watching my videos on these jazz standards, you are going to be playing the chords that I like to play when I play these standards, and you're going to see that already right off the jump in video 1. So I really hope that these videos will be illuminating for you. They'll really help you. It'll give you something to work on. If you're lacking for something to work on, you don't know where to go, start working on these tunes and really try to master them. And you can learn a lot of the jazz language through these chord progressions, which is what makes them so awesome. All right, so without further ado, let's get into my analysis of the chords in Autumn Leaves. One note before we jump into this. This tune is played in 2 different keys, 2 very common keys. It's played in concert E minor and concert G minor. I have chosen to do this analysis, do this video in the key of concert G minor. That's the key I like to play the tune in. So that's the key that we are going to analyze this particular presentation in. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so let's take a look at the chord progression and analyze it here. So basically we've got 3 keys and they are each color-coded. So the key of concert B flat major is going to be color-coded in red, and all the Roman numerals belong to that key. The key of concert G minor is going to be in blue, and these are the Roman numerals that correspond to that key. Now we've got one more key here. We're going to temporarily go to the key of E flat major, and that is color-coded in green. So this is a pretty repetitive form, and it's actually very simple. So let's just go through it. So the first thing that we see in the key of concert B flat, starting in measure 1, is a 2, 5, 1 to the 4. So that's our first 4 measures there. Now, what we're going to see in the second 4 measures, measure 5 through 8, is we are going to modulate to the relative minor, to the key of G minor. So now in that key, we have a 2, 5, 1 in the key of G minor. Now you'll notice that normally when we do a 2, 5, 1 to a minor key, the 5 chord, the dominant chord, has a flat 9 in it. The only reason it doesn't in measure 6 and measure 14 is because in the melody we use the regular 9. Now, that doesn't mean when you're soloing over this tune, you can't use the flat 9. You're going to see that in the etude that I'm actually using the flat 9 over this chord, and that's totally fine. So this is the general gist of this tune. We do a 2, 5, 1, 4 in the key of B flat, and then we modulate to the relative minor to the key of G minor. So let's hear what that sounds like all together, starting in measure 1. So there you go. Now, the second 8 bars does the exact same thing, all right? So we're going to skip that. Then we're going to go to the bridge, which starts at measure 17. So now what happens is we just reverse the chord progression that we came from. So now instead of doing 2, 5, 1, 4 in the key of B flat major and then modulating to the relative minor, we're just going to do it backward. We're going to do a 2, 5 in the key of G minor. And then we're going to modulate back to the relative major by doing our 2, 5, 1, 4. Okay, so it's the exact same chords, just reversed, just played backward. Now, the last 8 measures are where the only kind of different thing happens. So we start with a 2, 5 in the key of G minor, but then this chord functions as what we call a pivot chord. So you could call it 1 because it does in fact go 2, 5, 1, but this chord is also functioning as a 3 in the key of E flat major. And what it's kicking off is a 3, 6, 2, 5, 1 in the key of E flat major. So I'm going to just call it 3, but also notice that it sort of has a dual function as both 1 in the key of G minor and 3 in the key of E flat major. And this is like my favorite part of the tune because there's a lot of harmonic motion going on here. So we get, starting in measure 25, 2 to 5. Now here's our pivot chord. Now we start moving down to the key of E flat major. Now, a lot of people will put an A minor 7 flat 5 chord here, but I like to actually land in the key of E flat major before I start going back to the key of G minor. So after we land in the key of E flat major, we immediately start modulating back to the key of G minor where we end the tune. So the last 8 bars are by far the most complicated, but as you can see, they're not that complicated. So here it is starting in measure 25 and going to the end. So we get our 2, and then we get our 5, then we get our pivot chord. Now we're moving to the key of E flat. And then we modulate right back to the key of G minor by way of a 5-1. And that's pretty much it. That pretty much is what Autumn Leaves functions on. That's the layout of the chords. Really what we're dealing with here is B flat and its relative minor. And the only time we step out of that is when we take a brief trip to the key of E flat major. So hopefully you understood all of that, and leave me any questions you might have in the comments below. Now I'm going to play the etude that I've prepared, and you can hear this chord progression in action with a solo written over it. Okay, hopefully you enjoyed our analysis, deep dive into the tune, you heard an etude over it, and now you can be ready to jump into working on this tune, knowing every single little thing that's going on. You hopefully won't be guessing on any of the chords and why they belong where they belong. Hopefully you know what's going on now. Let me know if you have any questions, if you're excited about this series. I'm really excited to make these videos, and I'm gonna try as hard as I can to get through 100 jazz standards. Thanks for watching. There's a bunch of links below to a lot of other stuff that I do, including the 10-Minute Jazz Lesson podcast, some of our online courses, and fun things like that for you, the jazz learner. Again, thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video. Have a good one, everybody. Bye.